I'm Max Brantley with the Arkansas Times on Monday, March the 7th. News from Arkansas. At the state capitol today, a legislative task force is meeting to consider whether it should recommend to continue the private option. That's the Medicaid expansion financed by Obamacare. The governor wants to do it. He needs the money, and a private consultant issued a report today that made clear why that's so. It looks like this program, keeping the private option, that is, keeping the federal money coming and increasing state tax revenues by putting all this money into the healthcare system, is worth something like $175 million a year to the state budget, not merely to cover the cost of medical care, but just as a net gain to the state budget. The governor, of course, would like to keep that. There's still some in the legislature that are uncertain about it, but the evidence grows that the prudent decision for Arkansas is to keep that money. There's an element of hypocrisy, of course, in Republicans wanting to keep Obamacare while saying it's a terrible thing, but they're going to give it a new name and insist that it's not Obamacare. It is, but they'll call it something else. Arkansas works as a governor's choice. Lieutenant Governor Tim Griffin today issued a report that he'd been deputized by Governor Hutchinson to make. He's done a review of the State Department of Human Services. That's the biggest agency in state government. It covers a range of issues from poor people to sick people to elderly people with tens of millions of dollars in federal programs. Lieutenant Governor Griffin says the agency needs to be reorganized. This is the umpteenth time in the span of history of the Department of Human Services that somebody said it's inefficient, it has some waste, that it needs to be more consumer-centric and less bureaucratic. Easy to say that, hard to do. One significant thing he said today is shifting all maltreatment of children cases out of the department and into the state police. The state police almost certainly would have to grow its agency to handle those cases, but there are elements of maltreatment cases that aren't strictly speaking criminal cases. They're about the delivery of social services, and there it's important for DHS to be able to review with professionals familiar in the field how people did their jobs within DHS. I'm not sure that's a state police job to do, but this has become a hot button issue lately because of several high profile cases, Representative Justin Harris for one, and then a persistent belief that I think is wrong-headed but is out there, that the state is too hard on families that are guilty of maltreatment, of imposing physical discipline, for example, in cases where the agency thinks it's inappropriate, and there's been pushback on that. So there's a lot of politics yet to come. Haven't yet heard what the governor has to say about this. Big news over the weekend is that the presidential primaries continue. I think if any theme has emerged, it is that Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton do well in their respective parties when the elections are done by primary. When their party caucuses, controlled by a smaller handful at least of very faithful party members, then Ted Cruz and Bernie Sanders tend to do better. The big news over the weekend, I think, is the implosion of Marco Rubio as the establishment's choice candidate to defeat Donald Trump. Right now, Ted Cruz looks stronger. The conventional wisdom, and boy, has it been wrong many times this year already, is that if Rubio loses Florida, his race is over. There was another piece of news on the presidential front from Arkansas. Our David Ramsey interviewed the head of the Ku Klux Klan in America, a man who lives near Harrison, Tom Robb, and he said he loves him some Donald Trump. I don't know if that's the kind of endorsement you want in this day and time, but perhaps among Trump supporters it is. Elsewhere on the Arkansas blog today, a group in California, a teachers group, has called for an investigation of a nationwide school of charter chains run by a Turkish political figure, the so-called Gulen schools. The interesting angle here is that several of these schools with Turkish ties operate in the Little Rock and North Little Rock area, the Elise Academy. There's a strong Turkish nationalist influence in these schools, nothing illegal about that, although Diane Ravitch, the school reformer, questions whether we should be sending public tax dollars to nationalist movements from other countries, be it Turkish, Laotian, Vietnamese, or whoever. It's a subject that's been controversial in Little Rock before. It happens to be current because Lisa Academy wants to expand. Baker Kurris, the superintendent of Little Rock School District, is opposing that expansion. He says it's damaging the school district as other Lisa Academy schools have been in the past. Lowe's, the big home improvement chain, which has some stores around Arkansas, is coming to Little Rock, it looks like, if the Planning Commission approves. It's been set for hearing next month. A couple of interesting articles that I thought on the Arkansas blog this morning. One was about climate change. They had to ship in snow for the start of the Iditarod dog sled race in Alaska because they simply didn't have enough in Anchorage, where the site of the opening parade was held. More evidence of a dramatic change in climate worldwide, from melting glaciers to loss of polar ice pack. Meanwhile, Arkansas politicians, Attorney General Leslie Rutledge, continues to insist we need not be concerned, and in fact, we should not be doing anything further about improving cleaner air and reducing greenhouse gases that some fear may be contributing to this climate change. And finally, a very interesting story on Vox that I cited this morning, and it's about a dramatic decrease in the number of unintended pregnancies. Why has that happened? Because of long-term birth control methods, IUDs, for example, that work for a long period of time. It's had a great effect in reducing pregnancies. Fewer pregnancies, fewer abortions. The sad truth is, though, that conservative legislators have fought some of these programs to provide long-lasting contraceptives to women because they're against contraceptive just as much as they're against abortion. In Arkansas, you may remember the legislature, in addressing the crisis in teen pregnancy in Arkansas, was more concerned about abstinence education programs, which have been proven to be ineffective in fighting pregnancy, but made no mention of contraceptive programs for college students and talking about ways to decrease the pregnancy rate. Contraceptives do decrease pregnancy, which do decrease abortions. You can take that to the bank. I'm Max Brantley. I'll be back tomorrow.
You feel it in your heart. The spirit of Little Rock. We've had that spirit since 1927, helping build our city by producing decades of leaders in the heart of our state. We are the heart of business and innovation, the heart of politics and government, the heart of arts and culture, and in our city beats the heart of a Trojan. UALR, we are Little Rock's team.